Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about Andrew Yang's climate plan. He did a video, it's on YouTube. If I can find it again, I will try and put the link below. Basically, he has like a 5-pronged plan, and I wanted to go over some of those ideas because I think they're brilliant. It's a great mix of simple ideas and more complex ideas. One of the simple ideas that he had was with planting trees. As we know, the Amazon is on fire right now, the Amazon rainforest, and it's responsible for a large percentage of the oxygen that is in. So it's important that we go ahead and do things like planting trees. Simple. More complex would be moving from dirty energy like fossil fuels to clean energies. He also wants to initiate plans that will help with innovation when it comes down to green living and give them incentives to start creating and incentives for these big power companies to switch over. As we know, they're all greedy. Down here in Florida, we have GRU, and they are greedy bastards, and they raise the rates nonstop, and they just don't care about anything but money. So with these plans that would help offset the amount of money that they lose and create a way that they could switch over but still be greedy bastards and make money, they're more likely to jump on board. Sorry, I don't mean to call them greedy, but that's exactly what they are. So we're going to be straight shooters. Pew, pew. Anyways, he also ties in the basic universal income, which it's funny because he talks about that a lot, but it comes into a lot of the plans he has. I love the fact that he thinks about people, the average person who doesn't have money for emergencies. So let's say that there's a disaster, like for instance, 2005, that a huge hurricane. I was living down in Florida at that point in time, and they had a Category 5 hurricane, and they were like, everybody get out, evacuate. Now, me, I was like, that sounds wonderful, but I didn't have the money for gas or for a place to stay. I was working at Applebee's at the time. I was working about 7 days a week, and I still didn't have money to cover anything more than what, the bills like rent and, insurance, the basic stuff. So when they told me to get out, I was like, how? I can't go anywhere. And I will not lie, it was terrifying. I was not used to hurricanes. I wasn't used to, the fencing being ripped off and hitting the side of the house. I wasn't used to the flooding. I wasn't used to the tornadoes. There was a tornado that came through. Luckily, it jumped a couple streets before and jumped afterwards. And then it ended up destroying a whole bunch before Fort Myers. It was absolutely terrifying, and I had nothing that I could do. So the basic universal income helps because you'd have more options to be able to have savings, to be able to get out. So in thinking about the small people, I think that's wonderful. He also encourages people to move to higher ground. With the ocean rising, there's more of a chance that a lot of the low-lying places on the coast are going to get flooded. And it's catastrophic to these people. I think it's wonderful that he's thinking about the average person when he's coming up with these plans. Because a lot of times they kind of go over all this stuff, but they don't think about people on an average level. And that's a travesty. What, 98%, 99% of the people in the country? Rich people can jump in a jet, be out. Rich people, their house gets destroyed, they can rebuild it, As in everybody else, we're just kind of screwed. Because we know insurance companies, if you can afford them, have a whole bunch of ways of getting around paying stuff. They're absolutely positive. He also talks about creating new jobs when you're talking about all these new technologies. Coming up with skills where people can learn how to have jobs that it's going to be hard for them to turn to machines to do. For instance, putting on solar panels on all these houses. That's not going to be something that they that's going to be easy for them to replace. So in building human jobs and training people to be able to fill these positions, you're pretty much coming up with a way for people to have a steady job and not have to worry about it being taken away by machines. So he's coming up with ways to offset what's happening when it comes down to everything going automated. And in the same time, he's also coming up with ways for everything to turn green. That's one thing I love about him, is everything comes around to everything. It's all encompassing. So when he's talking about universal income, it's also talking about ways to help people learn different skills, be able to save for emergencies. It all feeds into each other. And I think it's amazing. He also talks about undoing damage that we've done. For instance, the rainforest. The rainforest is like a majority of the oxygen that, not a majority, but a large percentage of the oxygen that's created for the world. And we breathe that. It's kind of, simple and obvious, but some people, like Trump, tend to ignore it and pretend like it's alternative facts. Maybe because he's old and decrepit and he probably won't last too much longer. He's just not worried because he's not going to be here for it. But for the rest of us who have family that we care about and we want them to have a good life and not have to be, destroyed or suffering because we can't afford food and because there's just not enough to go around, and species being extinct, like, it all has an impact for people in the future. It's very important. And so to address this, he also came up with a plan to force future leaders to have a focus climate control and environmental issues. He wants to put an initiative, a constitutional amendment to protect for the future generations. I totally stand up for that. I love it. He also wants to create a geoengineering summit and bring in all these other nations so that we can all work on this problem together and come up with initiatives and things that will get them all on board. I think it's very important that we all concentrate on that. Let's see here. What else? I mean, it's like a 30-page document. I'm still going through it, but some things that stood out when he was presenting it, I just wanted to come through and talk about them. He also talked about the mindset of scarcity versus the mindset of abundance. He quotes a study that says if you can't pay your bills, the average person, their IQ is reduced by 13 points or one standard deviation. So with people having less of a concentration on things that matter, because they're stressed out about money and bills, things like this tend to get ignored. And what's the impact of this when it comes to innovation? The impact of this when it comes to education, and the impact that this has on people's daily lives with concentration when it comes to important issues. So by eliminating that, or helping with that, you can create a place to where and people can be more cognitive of important things that are going on right now. Again, it's something that's kind of simple, but yet it's very important. It's monumental. And so again, there's nuances that are amazing in his plans, and he takes care of, he always keeps in mind the people, the average person who can't afford or don't have opportunities. And that's one reason why I love Andrew Yang so much, is because in every aspect of his plans there is you can see that he's taking the average person. He's not just ignoring us, coming up with grand schemes and grand plans that sound great, but the average person isn't going to receive benefits from it. The average person isn't going to be included in it. And with him, we're in there. We're in it. So I absolutely love his plan. I have a lot more research to do. The reason I'm doing these videos is because that's how I got into it. I watched some little videos where people dove into politics and stuff like that. Sorry about my crooked glasses. I slept on them last night. And I started watching and seeing how these things impacted me, especially when it came down to Bernie Sanders. He was hammering away at a whole bunch of ideas, and everyone's like, he's crazy, he's a socialist, he's a communist. And now everyone is running off of his ideas. The reason that I no longer am planning on voting for him is because he's still running on the same thing, but he has further. And Andrew Yang has. And that is why he's got my ear. And as of right now, he has my vote. Anyways, Yang Gang forever, hopefully. And I will talk to y'all later. Anybody who's got any comments, I will respond to everybody. I don't have a huge following, so I will respond to everybody. Or I'll make a video on whatever you ask me about. If I don't, I will research it. Everybody have a great day. And bye.